And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday. I almost forgot that it was Friday somehow. Friday, July 21st, 2017, all day today. Welcome to Side B. Tech support for this week. Miraculously, despite having forgotten until only about 2 hours before the cast went live, put that up.
One job.
Posted it. I know, one job, and I've almost ruined it. Put it everywhere, socials, and we got loads of questions, so we're good. The community's got my back. Keep me up when I'm messing it up, but we've got lots of questions to get to and answer. And we'll let Panic pick the first question or two, because I know Panic is on a timeline before he has to head out this evening. So if we can't get this all done before he needs to head out, then we should get his choices in first. So I'll let you start this one off, sir.
I'm actually going with the first question because it's kind of relevant to stuff we talked about last week and also a passion of mine. This is from Geminaga. Did you guys ever get into board/tabletop games, e.g. Warhammer? If so, do you have a favorite?
Ooh.
Like, even including just regular strategy board games and stuff.
Yeah, I got into Warhammer for a very short period of time when I was like 12 years old. It was like just before I moved on to Adam Street. I played a bit of Warhammer, and it wasn't so much playing the game. It was more of building those little warriors and painting them. That was
miniature painting.
Yeah, that was the fun part to me. So I did play a little bit. There was an old, I actually think it's still a thing, Strange Adventures. There was like an old comic book store, and in the back they had like a huge area where they had a big table and you could bring your own shit there and you could have battles with people and stuff. So I did that a little bit, but it didn't last too long because it was really expensive, and my mom, we didn't really have the money to be buying all kinds of these things, and it was always just cheaper to do Pokemon cards. So that's about as the extent of my my board game or my tabletop life.
I didn't NovaWar.
I didn't really. I played fucking Monopoly. That's not even the same idea here.
So like, not even things like Settlers of Catan or anything like that.
No, like when I was a kid, there board games. I didn't really play much of it. I didn't know anyone else. I think it was part of the problem is I didn't really know anyone else that was into that kind of stuff. Like board games for me, like I just said, are like the ones that the generic shit that everybody plays when they're growing up, like the Trouble and Monopoly and the
standard
Scrabble, the standard shit,
Sorry.
right? Like like stuff like that. I wasn't really into the other things, and it's probably for a number of reasons, other than the fact that I didn't know anyone else that was really into it. The cost of that stuff was always so crazy that it just was never going to be a thing. I would be choosing between that and video games, and I was going to choose video games every single time. So as a kid, so no, I didn't really have anything into it, and only just like we talked about before, only in the last year have I delved into any kind of D&D stuff. So I've got very little experience now. I know more people now, obviously, that are getting into it, and board games of that, genre or that type of board game has been making a bit of a comeback, or not even a comeback, but it's spreading, I guess is a better way of saying it, where more people that would never have gotten into that kind of thing, it's becoming more of a deal. Like the board game cafe shit is getting more and more of a popular concept. Yeah. So, board games in general, my next door neighbor has like a bajillion freaking board games. It's endless. And they play Magic, and they play like a bunch of other stuff as well. So I know more now that I'm older, but at the time I didn't. And so I never really got into it.
Oh, okay. So that's a misjudgment on my part. I thought you'd be all over that shit.
No, not at all.
Seems like the type.
I'm not as hardcore as my brother. Like my brother used to not do some of that stuff, but other than like D&D, and then all of a sudden he picked it up. I've played a bunch of strategy games, like Settlers of Catan is one of my favorites. Ticket to Ride, and those kind of like high strategy games that you just play on a tabletop with a couple of friends. In terms of miniature games and like tabletop, I've only really done D&D. I've never picked up Warhammer, even though I've always wanted to. But kind of like Jeff said, it's expensive to like get in and be able to feel that. I have actually picked up this game came out relatively recently, a couple of years ago, called X-Wing Miniatures. And it's pretty much
somebody in my community on the stream is super into that shit.
Squishy is super into that. Also, like Squishy actually just recently won a championship, but it's pretty much it's like a hybrid. So it's kind of, you have all the miniatures and you can play it on any tabletop, and it's just got like little rulers and stuff to move everything around, and very basic rules. They're very easy to pick up. The thing I liked about it was you don't need to dump a lot of money into it. You can paint the models if you want to, but all of them come in pretty decent set shape already. They all look good. And for like, $50, you can play, you can play, and I have about maybe $200, $300 worth of stuff. And that's enough for me and like 2 or 3 of my friends to make like a whole day of playing out of. And I don't need to buy anything else, all set. And for me, it's pretty fun. So like, that's my current game I'm playing. Check out X-Men Miniatures.
Yeah, that's I know a couple of people that are into that
it's
game.
Surprisingly easy to get into. We tried it, and my buddy was like, "This is actually a lot better than I thought it would be." And I was like, "Yeah, this is just easy to play. You set up, you go, and then you're done. It's like 20-30-minute games. Simple.
And the models are badass. I mean, you got Star Wars ships, for God's sake. It looks fucking awesome. Yeah. So that's also a pretty good hook. I started seeing stuff at the last game store here in Halifax. This X-Wing stuff.
Yeah, they have like tournaments in all the stores, and they have like a whole thing where like the actual company will sponsor tournaments across all like gaming stores. And if the gaming store's like, oh, I want to throw a tournament, the company will just be like, oh, here's the thing you can use to help run it, and it includes like the prizes. Like the prizes are actually like ruler sets that say, you won like a store championship, and then they have like qualifiers and stuff for regional things. So like they're supporting it. It's pretty cool. It's just nice because most tabletop games take like 6-7 hours to like get a good full game in, or a couple hours. This one's like 30-40 minutes. You're done. You can move on, or you can play another round. It's all different.
Yeah, I would love to. I just, as much as I would love to get into that stuff, I know if I got into it, then it would just chew up way too much of my time. I'd be fucked. I'd be the guy that would sit down and spend untold hours painting shit. And
I'll bring it up when I come to Halifax next time.
Yeah, no, like I'd be screwed. I'd never do anything else with my time. I'd just be messing around with that stuff all the time. And
Nova Squadron.
I just like appreciating that stuff from a distance, because there are some people that are ridiculously good at painting those miniatures. Like, it's amazing to see what people are doing with them. Oh man, what's the guy's name? One of my favorite YouTube channels. He posts a video once every, like, I'm talking 3 months. But he does, he's big into miniatures and statues and stuff like that, and he reviews a lot of the sets and stuff that you can get. What is it? Is it Bardic Broadcast? And he's got one of my favorite, yes it is. Okay, so one of my favorite videos on YouTube, period, is by this guy, and it's called Why Hero Quest is So Great. And Hero Quest is one of these kind of tabletop figurine, type deals. And that video, if you can look it up, his name is Bardic Broadcasts. I'm pretty sure he's an Aussie. He's got a hell of a beard, and he's one of the funniest. Like, how he even delivers on some of this shit is beyond me, but he's just so freaking funny to me. And that video, Why Hero Quest is So Great, one of my top 10 YouTube videos. I found it randomly, like, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. And every time he posts a video now, I have to watch it because it's funny, but he's also super crazy knowledgeable about all this stuff. He's really into the artists that do the box cover work. He's into the guys that do the actual production for the figurines and everything. It's an awesome channel, and you should definitely check it out for the one video every 6 months that he puts out. But yeah, are you watching the video right now, Jeff? Or did you just...
yeah. I was
Yeah.
just checking him out.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious, dude. Watch it after the podcast. You're gonna crack up. He's an absolute legend. So like, yeah, so I'll watch people like him who are super into it, and I love that stuff exists because of the amazing art that people do with those figurines and whatnot. But it'd be over. I'd be game over. I'm already a hermit. I'd be dead. You'd find me passed out at my dining room table, surrounded by figurines and paint. I'd be game over.
Paint fumes.
It'd be all over but the crying.
With your Atari hat on. Music.
It's got this Atari hat and it's playing 808s and Heartbreak, and that's what it's got. But yeah, what about you, Mr. Black? Do you ever see yourself like, now that you have the money to spend on it? Do you think you could ever see yourself getting into buying some of the
Right
figurines?
now, I don't have the money to spend on anything. Ask me again in about 3 to 6 months. I should be good. But no, you know what, man? Honestly, board games and shit, it just doesn't. It doesn't do it for me.
You need social people for that.
Like, if I had a bunch of friends over and we wanted to bring out Monopoly, I'd have a fucking blast and I'd be overly competitive. But things like, painting things and hanging out and doing that sort of shit, and I like the idea of it, but it's just not for me. I would much rather play like Hearthstone on the computer or on my phone, pardon me, than actually play the physical thing. It's just not for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, Panic, you get to pick. You get a follow up because you're only here for so long, so you get to dip back in.
Alrighty, there was another one I saw, which this is probably more relevant to the other people. Based on what we've seen in recent news, I'm going to take this one from Sergeant Dragon. What are your favorite bands? If that's too general, what are some of your favorite bands from different genres? Favorite metal, rock, pop artists? Also for Adam specifically, why wouldn't you record yourself singing She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy by Kenny Chesney for me?
Oh,
Kappa.
God.
You think my tractor's sexy? Something.
I hate modern. I
country music.
There are
sucks,
very few
bro.
things that I will say that I hate and actually mean it. Like, hate is just like love. Hate and love are oft thrown around words that should be reserved for very specific times, but they're overused. I truly, unequivocally, fucking hate modern country music to lengths I didn't know were capable for something like a media. It's so bad, like beyond shit. There is like bad rap music that's like really shit as well and everything, but there's also like really good rap. All modern country music, I can say this confidently, is shit. Pure, unadulterated, not from concentrate, a missing child is on the side of the carton, shit. Just garbage. Yeah. There is good country music that has happened, but all of it has happened so long ago now.
The day of
that
Garth Brooks.
Whatever country music that exists now resembles nothing of what actual country music or what I consider to even be country music, honest to God. Like, there's a radio station here in Halifax that plays a whole bunch of old country music, and I can listen to that all day. I'm not going to love it, but it doesn't kill me. And if you put on modern country music for more than 5 minutes, I'm already ready to take my own life. I can't do it. It's so fucking bad.
I think the last.
I know that has nothing to do with the question.
The last country band that I enjoyed was the Rascal Flatts. They have a few good songs I like, but I'm not like going out and searching for their shit. But to answer the question, my favorite band, and I'm not just saying this, it's always been Linkin Park. It had always been. I would have. There is. I always told myself that there is 2 concerts that I wanted to see in my lifetime. Linkin Park always came up, and Michael Jackson always came up. Those were the 2.
I
I'll
had
be
tickets
honest.
to see them next week.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind
See,
of sad
yeah.
about that.
I would have loved to have seen Michael and Lincoln, mainly because they are the musicians that I watched do live, that I would prefer to watch them live than their regular ass songs. You know, when I went to go watch Linkin Park, that Texas concert, I think I've watched that like 100,000 times on YouTube from start to finish. Linkin Park was just so good. I'll be honest, I haven't been a fan of them for a
Their
while.
recent stuff hasn't been amazing, but even then, like going back and listening to their older stuff, like I listened to their stuff all day today. You know, it's just nostalgic, so I listened to it all day today, and there were no bad songs. They're all good.
Meteoro is incredible.
Yeah.
The reanimation was incredible. The Jay-Z collaborative work, that was awesome. I mean, it was just fire after fire after fire. So Linkin Park definitely would be the number one band I would have loved to have seen live. And to be honest with you, I probably eventually would have seen them. Like if there was an opportunity where they were performing relatively close, or if I was in Las Vegas and they had a show or I had lined something up, they would have been a band that I would have went out and saw. Like I would have never have thought that Chester would have passed away so soon. And if I would have known the band, either something bad would have happened or the band was going to break up, I would have made it a mission to have seen them years ago. But you just don't think of those things.
You don't expect it. Yeah.
You don't expect that. So, it's kind of a wake up call for me too, because I was the same way with Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson, obviously, I was too young to be able to like go to a Michael concert. Like, I didn't have the money to go do it. I couldn't like get on a plane and go check out Michael. And then by the time I was a teenager and then a young adult, like he had all kinds of fucking problems. And it was like, it just wasn't, there was no time in which I could have actually went and saw Michael Jackson.
It wasn't something that could happen in our lifetime.
Exactly. But I'm going to say right now, definitively, this is a wake up call for me. If there's a band that I love or a group that I love or an artist that I love, I am going to make an effort to go and see them, because we just don't know when that opportunity will go away. And it's like, it sucks because it sucks not only because it's a tragedy and, it's horrible, but it just sucks. I never had an opportunity to experience that show, because I know it would have been amazing. So Linkin Park, number one.
How about you?
And I would have said the exact same thing last week. I swear to God.
Yeah, I when it comes to any kind of media, whether it's music or movies or whatever, games, I have never been the type of guy that latches on to like one, like in this case, band. Like my taste is so broad, and what I want to listen to at any given time is tends to bounce around so much that it's difficult for me to say that any particular band or even just single person, which is more likely for me because I have always listened to singular artists, not people that are necessarily part of bands. It's really difficult for me to pick like favorites that way. I could name like we've done in the past, I can name songs and stuff that I'll put, and the list is just so fucking all over the place for the same reasons that it would be very difficult for me to pick a band. I mean, if I altered the question a bit and said, who would I like, whether it was a band or otherwise, to see live, like if I had that, I guess if that was my option, Rush would be really high on that list. I would fucking love to see Rush. I missed the opportunity to see them when they were here.
Yeah, they were here
in Halifax, so that would have been really really sweet. I would love to see Stevie Wonder live. Would be fucking amazing. My mom saw Stevie Wonder live front row when she was younger, and I was like, oh my God, that would have been friggin' badass. I want to go see Stevie Wonder. Maybe not up front because I ain't going to have the money, but I'll go see Stevie Wonder in concert. Eric Clapton is another one that I can listen to almost any song by Eric Clapton and fucking love it. But there's not really like a band that I'm just like, fuck yeah, that's the one. Because I'm way too varied. I'm scattered with my music. I change every 5 minutes, so I can't really lock in on somebody. But Linkin Park, obviously, just I guess for topical sake, Linkin Park is probably in the last 20 years one of the most influential bands that came out, and obviously incredibly sad what happened. It was Chris, right?
Yeah.
Chester, sorry. It tells you how much I fucking know about Linkin Park. But incredibly sad for a number of reasons, but it also shows you, for example, that the music that a lot of people grew up on with Linkin Park, the angsty whatever, when everybody was that age where everybody wanted to be angsty teenagers, and all of their problems were reflected in Linkin Park songs. Usually when something is really good and it happens in that space, it means it's coming from somewhere. And so it's funny how sometimes it takes an artist passing away before people will make that connection. But now, for example, with some of the more recent songs that they've done, people are saying, holy shit, this song makes so much more sense now, that Chris is gone, or Chris, Jesus, Adam, that Chester's gone and done this. I don't know why I have Chris on my brain right now. That Chester, did this. Now it all makes sense. But Linkin Park, especially their early albums, absolutely amazing. I can remember entire months at a time where Jeff and I would be on repeat, the albums just over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Looking into freaking getting, I want to get a turntable just so I can get the vinyl hybrid theory, because I actually listened to a vinyl hybrid theory a while ago, and it was actually a good experience. So I was like, I kind of want to get that again, and that's like one of the first ones that I thought about when I was like, oh, good work.
Yeah, it's it was definitely a shame, to be sure. The thing that I thought of most, actually, or one of the first things that came to mind when that happened was the crossovers and stuff that they did with Jay-Z. And they did some of that work, and that was really, really good stuff. And they had a live concert that they did together, and I went back and watched some of that stuff as well, and just fantastic band. And it's more obvious now to people than it would have been before that all of this music that had such feeling to it obviously came from shit that was stuck up in the heads of the guys that were performing it for you. So and this hit around the same time, in very similar ways to me, not to derail this entirely, but just to wrap this up, when Robin Williams passed away. And it brought to light for everybody once again that the people that entertain you and are particularly good at hiding it tend to be the most messed up people. And so I just wish that it didn't always take a star passing away or taking their life for that to be on the minds of people all the time. But I guess if it was on the minds of people all the time, then they wouldn't be able to entertain, because everybody would just be paranoid that they're going to off themselves. So I guess there's some upside and downside to that. But yeah, definitely Linkin Park, amazing for sure. But I don't personally have a band that I can pick out. Was that your pick, Panic, Linkin Park?
Linkin Park is, again, I kind of oscillate, but I have three that I would go with depending on the mood. Swedish House Mafia. When I'm in an electronic mood, Linkin Park is one of my go-to rock, hip hop, mishmash bands, and then probably Rush, because they're just classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I desperately at some point need to see Rush in concert for sure. Just as a Canadian, I feel like I'm doing them a disservice if I don't go to a Rush concert. But and that's not, notwithstanding the fact that they're, technically speaking, possibly the greatest band to have ever been assembled. But yeah, so there you go. There you go. That's a solid wrap up to that. Mr. Black, you got a question on deck, sir?
Any good tips on books / what are your favorite books?
Oh, Panic's read about 90 in the last 5 days, so I'm sure he's probably got a couple of suggestions. This dude, when he was here in Halifax, only here for 48 hours, and I don't think I saw the Kindle leave his side.
I read 6 books while I was in Halifax, bro.
It just doesn't even make sense to me. I can't read 6 picture books in fucking 48 hours, let alone full-blown books. So what are your suggestions, Panic?
I mean, honestly, I read a lot of trashy sci-fi, and a lot of more realistic books. In terms of nonfiction, if you're looking for like mentality and mindset type books, I'd look at the Ryan Holiday stuff. Ego is the Enemy. That's actually a really good book. I forgot the title of his other book, but they were both really helpful when I was going through a rough patch a couple of months ago. They kind of help you like refocus how you think about things and kind of how to push through and move forward. And they're not like depressing books or anything. They're just interesting ways to kind of reevaluate how you think about things.
Self-help books.
I wouldn't even say it was self-help. And then another good one, which is not a self-help book, was Elon Musk's biography. Really friggin' good book. Also really inspiring and kind of shows you kind of where he's coming from. And it kind of gives context to where he's going. And it's inspiring, which is good. From a trashy sci-fi side of things, I do not recommend reading any of the books that I read while I was in Halifax. The more I think about them, the more I'm like, these are just not that good. I'm just going to have to finish the series for the sake of finishing it. But I would highly recommend, it's a 3-book series by Anne Leckie, I believe, called Ancillary Justice, or the Ancillary series. It's really good. I really enjoyed reading it. I read that recently, and then I reread it because I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Okay.
What about
you, Mr.
Jeff?
Black?
We can include audiobooks from your end because I know you've been.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't
plowing
fucking
through those.
I'm dyslexic and I have a hard I can read fine, but it's a slow process because I read something and I read it backwards and I have to reread the line and it's just it's just not fun. Audiobooks have just been a godsend. Probably my favorite out of the books that I've listened to in the last 3 months, I would say Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone, who is a entrepreneur. And this book is all about sales. It's all about getting the sale, understanding the sale, and not only selling in terms of selling a product, but selling yourself. And also selling is everywhere. So, when you're in a relationship with someone, it's a transaction. You're presenting something, they're presenting something. It's sort of a transaction. You're constantly selling. You're selling whatever. We're selling this podcast. We're selling everything. Is being sold all the time. So it's not when you hear Sell or Be Sold, it's that thing where it's like you better sell or you're going to be the one who's being sold. It's either you're going to be the seller or you're going to be the guy on the other end that is going to be the one receiving the shit. So I love it. Go pick it up. It's just hard to explain. It puts it into perspective. I've learned so much about sales. I mean, it goes deep into sales, into like physically selling things and going after, in my case, going after sponsors, going after things, and just the callbacks and the mindset and the rejection and the failure and the everything. One of the best things I've ever listened to. And I highly, highly, highly suggest it to anybody. Even if you're not in sales, you're going to learn something even about yourself in terms of how you present yourself. Even when you're not selling, it's how do people perceive you, and the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the way you look, everything. You're selling constantly, and you're being sold constantly. Looking out for advertisements and the things that people do and say, and your perception on certain things. So go listen to it. It's a great audio read too, because it's the actual guy who does the audiobook. He's very animated. He's easy to listen to. And he also ad-libs a lot as well. You can tell he really gets into the material, and then he just kind of goes a little bit, and then he gets more focused and back to the material. So I think it was like, actually, I'll pull it up here. I think it was like a 10-hour book.
So I would say before Adam jumps in, personally, I think books in general have been kind of like a dying media, and it's tragic. It's one of those things where people are now just getting everything instantly on the internet. But there's something to be said for picking a book that's focused on a topic, be it fiction, nonfiction, or something, and then you disconnecting and then focusing on that, absorbing it and understanding it.
Fully.
And I feel like for anyone, even if you're listening to this podcast, is picking up a book or picking up an audiobook and listening to it end to end in some way, shape, or form is a huge favor that you can do for yourself.
And it's
one
an
of the best ways. It's the best way to learn. It's the best way to learn something. It's a really good way to learn something at your own pace, get understanding, get comprehension. It's a good skill to have, to be able to pick something up, read it, understand it, and process it, and to come up with your own opinion on it.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's a skill that's missing nowadays from a lot of people.
I've gone through 5 books in the last 6 weeks, and they're all different things. You know, I listened to one about sales. I listened to Neil deGrasse Tyson's newest book. Another one by Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average, which also goes back to the Civil War last week, where, you know, I am gazelle intense. Anything, people just don't get in my way of thinking. And I that if you listen to that book, you can kind of see why I just click with the material. Very, very much so. I listened to a book about retirement and how to properly invest and save in retirement, and I learned everything about the American 401k and all their policies, even though I'm not American, just to know. I listened to a book about the stock market and how all that shit works in Wall Street and everything. Listened to books about real estate, the housing market in the U.S., the housing market in Canada. Listened to almost all except for Barbara, whatever her name is, from the Shark Tank.
The real estate
one. I didn't listen to hers yet, but I listened to all the other people from the Shark Tank, all their books. Yeah, so you can just kind of see the material that I listen to. It's very entrepreneurial, very business related, because that's all the stuff I'm interested in. And I want to be fully prepared for what comes after what I'm doing now. And I want to have options, and I want to be educated on many things. And I want to create my own path. So, yeah. And yes, I do take notes. I do have notepads. So every time I listen to a book, I have a notepad for each specific book. A couple of them I didn't leave notes, but a lot of the ones for Sell or Be Sold, I definitely took a lot of notes for those. And also with some retirement stuff. And I'll be honest, I also listen to books on behalf of for some of my friends and family. So if people have asked me things, because a lot of people in my life, believe it or not, they come to me because they feel as though I got my shit together, and I made that analogy. If you want to lose weight, you don't ask somebody who's overweight how to lose weight. You emulate somebody that's been doing it, that is in a great shape. So, people will come to me with questions that they think or that they see or how I perceive or how I sell that I am successful in. And so they come to me and they ask questions. If there is something that I don't know, then I typically like to go and listen to a book about that. And then not only will I educate myself, that then the next time I can speak to them, because most people are pretty lazy, and they're very instant gratification. And so am I in a lot of ways. So they chances are they never went and did the research. They asked me, and if I didn't have an answer, they probably just went along with their day. So I just went, and when I don't know something that interests me, has to be something that I'm interested in, then I'll go out and do it. You know, if Adam were to ask me, you know, Jeff, can you tell me about, you know, fucking trains? And I'd be like, dude, I don't know shit about trains. And to be honest with you,
I've always wanted to fuck a train personally.
Yeah, I don't I don't care. So I'm not going to be like, yeah, I ought to go to audible.com and use one of my book credits to go and check out about trains so I can be Mr. Know-it-all. But if there's really something about, you know, the real estate or the, you know, that type of world, I'll get right into it.
Yeah, I've only recently just taken up the charge of getting back into reading. I used to read like prolifically when I was younger.
Same. And
college
it's
the exact same story. So like I used to read all the time. It was something I did every night before I went to bed. Which was great for a number of reasons. One, you know, reading is just fantastic as it is. But it was also a great sleep aid. It's something that you do before your bed, and it puts you in for whatever it is about reading. It
slows you down.
It slows you down, and it gets you, you know, ready for sleep. And so it was a nice thing to have. And I did that all the way up. Then university hit. And after I finished university, I never wanted to read again. Like I was like, I just don't.
Rightfully so.
I just had like 15 grand worth of textbooks in a garbage bag, and I was like, I don't want to fucking see any of this shit anymore. Just get out of here. I don't want to read anymore.
400 pages before Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm
it's
like,
Monday.
It's Monday. Good luck. And you're like, all right, great. So that university really turned me off reading like a great deal. And
it took me 4 years after college to get back into reading.
Yeah, part of it too was when I was in university. Yeah, you have to in business. You have to take here anyway. I don't know what it's like other places. You have to take one English course, not the language, but you're studying like literature,
like written English
and whatnot, written English, and so. The prof I had for that was a real dick, and he had a really shit way of teaching, and he had a really shit outlook on how to absorb the books that you read.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. And you were forced to think like him for an entire semester. He was the
oh, those are the worst.
He was a prof that said outright at the beginning of the semester, nobody will get an A in this class. And that was it. He just sent the benchmark immediately. And I was like, great, this is a fucking awesome class, right? Like, just not off to a great start. And then, if you didn't answer something exactly how he would process it, you were wrong. So for an entire semester, I had to turn myself into this dude. And I was reading all these, you know, novels and Shakespeare and all this whatever, and analyzing, you know, modern and old poetry and all whatever I did for that whole semester. And then that on top of the university textbook read, I was just done with reading. I was like, I have no enjoyment for this shit anymore. And I stopped, and honest to God, I might have read, since I graduated, I might have read 3 books in the 5, what would it be now? 5 years since I've graduated? 6 years?
I read 3 books this week,
bro.
Just
5 years?
6 years. 6 years. It would be.
Okay, yeah.
So 6 years this year. So yeah, so that really turned me off. But so I just recently though I sat there, and it was funny because it wasn't necessarily my thought at the time. My cousin Ben, who I love to death, probably the most genuine individual on the planet. He can't be anything but just fucking. He's just Ben, and he had moved out, and he's becoming a teacher, and the grandmother that lives with my parents nanny is what we call her. She's the queen of the family. She's 94 years old and has been 2 years worth of heart failure, and she refuses to die. She said to me the other day when I was over there, she said, "I'm pretty sure God forgot about me, and I'm just here now, and I'm not going anywhere." But she's sharp as fuck.
She is
like
sharp.
super. She's 94 years old, heart failure. She can't say more than 5 words without losing her breath, and she's so fucking smart. And she didn't graduate high school. When she was younger, she never finished schooling, and then went to work for a bank later on. And so she's a number cruncher too. Like she'll sit there and she's faster than me with a godforsaken fucking calculator. And Ben was looking at this going, what is it about Nan at 94 years old that she's so sharp? You know, people in their 70s are already like losing it. And they're
people
off
in their
La La Land.
20s are not that sharp at times, from what I've heard.
And so Ben was like, "What is it?" And he said, he said he was laying in bed one night. He's like, and he said it dawned on him. He's like, "Holy shit, I know what it is." She never stops reading. She's constantly reading. When you're 94 and in heart failure and you can't barely walk or do anything, there's only so much you can do. And so she reads nonstop. I mean, she read her whole life anyway. She was an avid reader her whole life to begin with. But now that she's, her world is this small, right? Like it's tiny. It's her bedroom to her chair in the living room, and that's it. She reads non-fucking stop. And so when Ben said that, I was like, you know what? As stupid as it is, that's totally fucking it.
Definitely.
That is it. That's
what
the
keeps
thing.
Her going
and
too, man. It's just what keeps everything.
Like my other grandmother, who is also like a reader like crazy. She's the type that will finish a crossword in 5 minutes, and I can't even get one fucking word in the entire crossword. There'd be times where she would give but garbage bags full of books to take home to Nan when we would visit her and we go back. And within a week, this whole fucking garbage bag would just be done. And I was like, who are you? You're fucking... You can't even see across the room for the TV, and you've blasted through like 40 books in 7 days, and that's what it is. So I said to myself, just recently, I have to start reading again. I have to get back into the habit and do it because it's
like
it's
a Kobo or a Kindle, and like
I bought a Kindle.
Yeah.
So I bought a Kindle. So Amazon Prime Day or whatever, which is the shittiest sale in the history of big box store sales, is whatever.
They had some good sales on their own stuff.
They're on their own shit. Their Kindle stuff was sick deals. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna buy a Kindle. So I did, and it came in. And the first thing I did was buy all the books that I already bought in hard copy that I won't pick up in the fucking hard copy, and buy it on the Kindle.
Fail.
Because they're like $2 on Kindle. It's like fucking whatever, right? So I just buy these books. And last night, first time, I lay down, even at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's about 1,000 degrees in my room. I'm laying down in bed. I'm sweating to death. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to read. And I get my Kindle, and I open it up, and I start reading a book. And I was like, this is good. I like this again. And it was like a miracle, because I never liked reading for so long.
The cool down period to like get back into like, I'm ready to read again.
6 fucking years, apparently, is what it took.
Yeah, mine was 4 or 5 years before
again.
I was like, I'm going to read for fun.
Oh my God. So I say all that to say, I can't really sit here and recommend you a bunch of shit, because I haven't read for 6 friggin' years.
Read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I've read a couple of books. I mean, the ones that I've read what's called the Mist Reader, which was Rand Miller, who's one of the brothers that made the Mist series of games the games were based on the book. And that's actually, surprisingly good. All the books in that reader, it's like 1,000 pages or something, is actually really good, and I could recommend that for sure. I tried getting into Wheel of Time, couldn't fucking do it.
It's hard for some people to get into.
Coincidentally, I opened up Mistborn trilogy last night, and it seems like I might actually be able to read this one, which is ironic because good. Sanderson is, so I'm trying that. And for science fiction people out there, not that you would need me to tell you this, but Arthur C. Clarke, read all of his shit. Every book Arthur C. Clarke. I mean, pre late 80s, early 90s, when he had to get help from, I can't remember the co-author that started taking up a lot of the work now. but he started losing it. Obviously, he was getting up there quite a bit. But Arthur C. Clarke, 10 out of 10. Go read all of his early stuff, and that's all I can add to that.
Okay.
There you go.
Good.
That's my bag. I guess it's my turn to pick a question, isn't it?
This is the last one I can hop in for.
Yeah, I'm dying too. So this will actually be a regular.
This will be the last. This will be the
alpha.
last.
Yeah.
It'll be the last. It'll be the last question. I was actually going to pick the book one coincidentally, and then Jeff picked the book one. Let's see. Oh. This is a relatively quick and easy one, I guess. Matt Hagen asks, who would play you in a movie about your life? If it's a bit of a thinker, I mean the answer isn't too long, but it's a bit of a thinker. I don't know if I have immediately somebody off the top of my head that I could think of.
Go on racist as fuck, either Aziz Ansari or Cal Penn.
Aziz, I don't see that. Except
dude,
for,
I am sarcastic as hell.
I suppose, but it's just he's so different than you.
Yeah, Cal Penn I think could work though.
Yeah, I could see that.
Man,
Cal Penn I could definitely see more than.
He's
Aziz.
super legit now too.
Yeah.
He worked in the White House for a couple of years. He does a whole lot of useful things. He's productive.
I actually don't know. Like I'm trying to think of somebody. I would say for me it's probably Kevin Hart.
No. Don't see it.
You don't see Kevin Hart?
No.
I just feel like someone just said in chat too, Kevin Hart. I feel like if I were to just be a little bit more over exaggerated version of myself that I think Kevin Hart could do. I think Kevin Hart could represent me pretty well. I don't know. Maybe Kevin Hart before he was uber famous.
I'm going to ignore body dimensions on this because it's not really like fucking. I'm just going to go for personality wise, I guess. You guys are going to laugh about this one. Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I watched the video today last night on YouTube with the Star Wars lightsaber fight.
Did I send that to you earlier, Adam?
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's it. And then my serious side is Woody Harrelson, and then the funny side is Owen Wilson. So if you had a hybrid Owen Wilson, Woody Harrelson, I think that's
what? Matthew McConaughey.
And sprinkle. I was gonna say a little bit of Matthew McConaughey, but if you sprinkled a little bit of Matthew and maybe a little bit of Bill Murray. Sprinkle a little Bill Murray's like deadpan bullshit. The fucking like that's. But if I only had to pick one, Owen Wilson.
You know what? The guy in chat I think got Jeff better for who I think will play him. Keegan-Michael Key.
Ooh, there it is.
I think he's better than Kevin Hart.
Yeah, definitely better than Kevin Hart. I agree. I think for me, for more of a serious, I think Will Smith is probably. There's still a little goofy, but
no
even
Denzel.
when serious,
No Denzel.
No, I'm not that stoic. I would say like, yeah.
Throwing some Samuel L. Jackson in there.
Keegan is probably the one. It's probably the one.
Cam said Nicolas Cage for me. I should be Nicolas Cage.
You kind of do have that.
I could do that. I could do it. Yeah, I can see that. I don't even care. I think
you make Nicolas Cage look sane. You make him look sane.
I like Nicolas Cage. I can't hate on the guy. He doesn't give a fuck. He'll take whatever for a check, and he just he goes in, he does it, gets the fuck out. It is what it is. I still need to see, the one Nick Cage movie I need to see that's been bugging me forever. I need to see Lord of War.
That's actually a pretty decent one.
I don't think I've seen that.
That's why I want to see it. It's supposed to be Nick Cage's like one of Nick Cage's really good
he didn't fuck
deals.
Up in it.
It wasn't a movie that he took because he wanted a paycheck. It was like he actually put some effort in. It wasn't The Wicker Man. Not the
Okay.
beads.
What is it? Lord what?
Lord
Lord
of War.
of War.
He's an arms dealer, pretty much, and it's got a bunch of stuff. It's
Oh,
got a
wow,
bunch of
it's
things to it.
rated really well.
Yeah, it did well. It was a
Yeah,
serious
yeah,
movie.
All right, let
Yeah,
me go ahead
apparently
and
it was-
bookmark this. Oh, Jared Leto's in it too. All right, I'll watch it, boys. I'll watch it. 'Cause I've
Yeah, I
never
need to
seen
see it too. The only reason I haven't seen it yet is because I don't have a lot of free time, and Gabs hates, and I mean fucking hates Nicolas Cage, like with a passion. Like she has a gag reflex every time Nicolas Cage is mentioned or shows up on TV. It's like Nicolas Cage. That and she has a couple of others too that she can't. Like Kevin Bacon, I think, is one of them. She can't fucking stand Kevin Bacon.
Should go watch Hollow Man.
Hollow
One of the
Man?
worst movies ever by Kevin
Yeah.
Bacon.
Oh God, Hollow Man, so
Yeah, They're not
bad.
very good. They're not very good. No, I can see
but
that.
yeah,
I can
that's-
definitely see Nicolas Cage. I'm gonna go see this movie. It looks pretty decent.
Face
Yeah,
off.
Face Off is definitely my favorite Nicolas Cage movie for sure.
I
I
like
don't
The
think I've
Rock.
seen that either.
The Rock,
Is
yeah,
it
The
good?
Rock is good.
Is Face Off good? I've never actually seen
Oh
Face Off
my
either.
God,
oh,
of
dude,
course,
it's
dude.
like
Fuck.
quintessential '90s action.
Yeah,
John
dude.
Travolta,
Okay.
Nicolas Cage.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's not even like
So
guilty
ridiculous.
pleasure good. It's
like
just
ridiculous.
fucking good. It's just good.
See, that's what kind of saddens me about Nicolas Cage is I know he's got it in him to do fucking awesome movies, and now he's just like,
I think he was a good '90s movie star. I don't think.
Yeah.
I just think movies have changed too much, and he hasn't evolved at all, and so he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that like Rock or Arnold Schwarzenegger swag, you know, that type of star power where he could just probably make movies for generations and people would just love to see him. Nicolas Cage is just kind of meh. He's kind of like, you know, he's like a little bit lesser of a Jason Statham. You know, you can. I don't think he'll ever be a movie star, like in terms of making consistent good movies. It's gonna be like taking paychecks and like doing B-rated movies.
you know what my favorite fact about Nicolas Cage was? He was almost Superman.
Yeah,
They
he
actually
was.
have test
Yeah,
footage of that.
Yep, you can watch. There's a whole documentary on it actually, on
Which
all
is
that shit.
great. Can you imagine Nicolas Cage's like what I'm wondering is how the fuck did he get that far into casting? Like how the shit did Nicolas Cage get
That was
so
his,
far
he
in?
had a lot of star power at the time, and they wanted like a big star to run it, and then they realized this movie's gonna be terrible.
Oh, Miyagi said Harold. How do you pronounce that?
Harold Ramis?
No,
No, Parano.
Yeah, the guy from Lost and Oz.
Oh yeah.
The black dude. Dude, I
can see
fucking
that.
look like that guy too. Like I feel like
I
I'm
can
gonna
see
look
that.
like this dude.
What about
and-
John Boyega as Jeffrey Johnston?
Ooh. I think John Boyega is like a young version of this dude.
Yeah.
I can actually
Someone said
see.
Shia LaBeouf as Adam.
You know what? I've heard
I
so
see
many
that.
people say I look like Shia LaBeouf so many
What?
times. It's
What about
ridiculous.
Shia LaBeouf in blackface to be Jeff? I think he could pull
Were
it
they-
off.
Were they all high? I don't see Shia LaBeouf in you at all. Not
You
even
know
a
what?
little bit.
There was one picture that somebody sent me, and I looked like Shia LaBeouf, and I haven't ever since. I haven't seen it, but yeah, no.
Make it happen.
What?
Just do it. Just do it.
Oh my god. Liam
Well-
Hemsworth for Adam. Mark, you're giving me
No.
way
I think
too much
Keegan.
credit,
I
bro.
think Keegan is probably the the
Keegan
one.
works.
Yeah, I think that's the one. I can see that.
That's too funny. That's too funny.
yeah.
That was
Well, there you
I
have it.
like that question. That was good. That was good. We're gonna wrap it up there because Panic has to head out and Jeff is about to die.
I really need-
I think.
It's been a
I
long
think
week
the both
for
of
everyone.
us. I think the both of us need to see Lord of War now. I think that needs to happen. I need to
gonna go
definitely
on my
squeak that
Android
in.
box right now in bed, and if it's on there, I'm watching it tonight.
Oh shit! I wonder if I can convince Gabs. Probably not, but I can. A man can dream. You never know. It could happen.
It's not a typical Gabs. If you're listening, it is not a typical Nicolas Cage movie. It
But there's
plays
still
out
Nicolas
more like
Cage.
it plays like a more serious movie. He's not nuts.
Couldn't let that go. But it's still Nicolas Cage.
It's still Nicolas Cage.
Look, man, Gone in 60 Seconds still one of my favorite movies. I can't fucking get away from it. It's a guilty pleasure. It's
Adam,
so
just
bad
put
it's
it on
good.
your tablet. Watch it in bed. Kind of steer it away.
I'll put it on my Kindle.
Just put it away from Gabs. Put on some headphones.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you so much for listening. Again, because I keep forgetting, but I don't think it's changed because I haven't seen Patreon. Like we
got
added
some new
people,
patrons
but we
this
haven't.
time.
Yeah, but I don't think any of the
We broke
producers
400
have changed.
Patreons though, so that's pretty big.
Yeah.
We did. We're up above 400
Thank you,
patrons.
everyone who is
Yes.
helping out on Patreon. Can't emphasize how
Absolutely.
much we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. I actually sent the box of, signed posters out today.
Jimmy.
We split a bunch to send a bunch to Panic because we found out that me sending them out from here was a terrible life choice for everyone involved. So I'm going to be carrying the weight of just sending out the Canadian. The Great White North, and then for everyone else, there's MasterCard and Panic, and that's how that's gonna go. So we're gonna finally be getting that stuff out to you guys. Once it's shipped, it's gonna take like no time to get to people, unless you live in like I don't know Antarctica or some shit. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being on that Patreon train. We'll also have the pictures and stuff up too. There's gonna be a big schmeal deal about that, and then I'm gonna also get in and start talking to some people in the community about doing up. I think Panic and I are gonna work on the GitHub to get a move on the website rehaul so we can get the website also tackled. So lots of things going to be happening within Technical Alpha over the course of the next month or two. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Jetrix, I believe, is still up there in the Big Dick Club. And we also have to give a big shout out to Joe McDong, who probably, given the name, probably also hung. I mean, really, who else names themselves that otherwise? Sir Holmes, Postal Panda, Jamaican Jazz, Adam B, Toad of Steel, Naily, J.A., Derek P, Fry C, and Ice Wolfie, all legends. Thank you guys so much. And everybody else, really, that's on Patreon, honest to God, just fucking whatever. Every one of you, a bunch of legends, getting closer and closer, edging ever so close to the 5,000 mark, at which point we actually had a bunch of people say they wanted to be DMs for us for Dungeons and Dragons. We're getting it on YouTube. We're getting it on my Twitter. We're getting it on Patreon. Everybody's like, I want to be the DM. We might have to come up with like a reality TV show by Jerry Bruckheimer where we put you all on an island and we decide who ends up being our dungeon master.
Just put them in a room with me. I'll weed them out.
Oh, it'll be like Gordon Ramsay.
Let's get to that 5K then. Let's get to that 5K. Yeah. If you guys are enjoying the podcast and you've got $1 to spare, hit up that Patreon, and let's get closer to that 5K. Let's do this Dungeons and Dragons.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much once again for listening. This has been another Technical Alpha podcast, or the side B, as it were. And we'll be seeing you guys next week here on Twitch. Same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, have a good one. And peace.
We had a normal, lengthy podcast today.
Holy shit.
Shh, we don't ruin it. Don't jinx it.